Hi, Alice here. Welcome to Deborah's Asphalt Garden Impromptu Paradise here in a suburb of Atlanta called Avondale Estates. She's sharing with us how over time she's developing an ecological habitat for the birds, the insects, all the little things that matter most. Let's go check it out.
Sometimes people will find it disagreeable because this is not exactly house and garden beautiful, but it's garden happening. It's happening right now. These leaves and these tree trunks will break down over time. And while they're breaking down, they're going to provide space for insects, and insects feed the birds of the world, which is a very important component to our garden. So I encourage you to just, again, let it happen. If you have a tree that's fallen, saw it into manageable chunks. You can line your garden or just put them out of the way, but let them decompose on their own time, and it's going to make some really beautiful space for the insects.
Deborah, did you encounter objections when you were working with the contractors in getting them to create this habitat?
It's a haphazard habitat. It's happening naturally. The contractors were delighted. They just had to haul stuff to the edge here and line it up. Now, some of my neighbors took exception to it because they felt that it was not good to look at. They felt that it would harbor rats. And I can guarantee you that any rat who thinks twice would rather be in your kitchen as opposed to spending its time in a rotting log. So don't let that stop you. It's happening naturally. It's away from the building. You want to keep it at the end of your yard, and just let it happen. Let it decompose over time. You can see actually some of the leaf have broken down, and later in the fall, I'll shovel that. This is excellent soil. This is free soil, and I'll shovel that back onto the garden because it's useful. What you don't want to do is think of your leaves as trash. They're not trash. Every aspect of trees and green stuff, even as they turn brown, it's valuable. It's future soil for your garden. Try to be conservative and keep stuff in place. Try to keep out of the way. Let it break down on its own, and you'll be surprised at the value that it adds over time.
When you did this, about how far from the building were you able to get your garden hedge set up?
It's at least 20 yards from the building. We're at the front of the building now, and we'll walk around to the back so you can see, again, some of the plants that have just been left to grow naturally. There's a real assortment, again, growing haphazardly but happily right here. This is kudzu, and you do want to remove that.
Why is that?
It grows insanely. Personally, I think it's very beautiful, and it will get really beautiful purple blossoms. They smell sweet, almost like grapes, but it does grow almost uncontrollably. And so this is one thing that you want to keep an eye on.
Now, I've heard that is taking over some of our national forest area here in the South because of its uncontrolled growth.
It's routinely removed, like on a work day for volunteers, and park personnel will get together to remove as much of it as possible. You do want to remove it, although I'm a big fan. But for instance, people love bamboo. Sometimes they'll bring bamboo inside, and then it doesn't thrive. This stuff will thrive anywhere. That's both a gift and a warning, just saying.
It's considered a highly invasive plant. So it's not something we want to be cultivating in our yard, but it is a beauty. And unfortunately, we don't have any natural predatory insects or anything to control it. It is from Asia, and it does have over there control because that's its natural habitat, and it evolved with some natural insects.
So this kudzu is a formidable component of landscape. You want to either remove it or keep a close eye on it. Again, it is beautiful, and anything green is going to help out. We have a photo of poison ivy, which you should not interact with, of course. However, there was one time when the front of our building became overgrown with poison ivy, and I'm allergic to it. However, because it was growing up on the side near my window, it covered my studio window, which faced west. When you would step into the building or step into my apartment, you could feel the temperature drop by 3 or 4 degrees because of the shelter from the poison ivy vines that grew down the front of the building. Again, you definitely don't want to cultivate that stuff, but just to let you know that it makes a difference. Anything that blocks the heat and the sun like that will make a difference.
I think there's some other vines that people might be able to use. For a lot of people, poison ivy is a terrible experience if they get it on them.
It is horrendous. This is harmless to the touch, but
you wouldn't want to be planting kudzu as a vine on a trellis.
If you kept up with it, it would be gorgeous, and it would have these beautiful, small, very wonderfully scented blossoms, pale purple blossoms. Again, it's how you maintain it, to be honest, but I'm not advocating. I'm an advocate of thistles, for example, which is another story. I don't have any handy, but a friend warned me that my neighbors took exception. Bottom line about vines is be cautious. Have ivy, which is very invasive, and also Virginia creeper. They're beautiful. You can do good things in your garden, but they do have to be managed carefully.
When I was in the Cumberland Gap area at the Daniel Boone National Forest, there was Virginia creeper vine that was in bloom, covered with native pollinators. And it was really amazing to see. I'd never seen one blooming. It has huge ecological value, but you just have to be careful because any of these vines that have the little, I call them feet, that stick on your stucco and into your bricks can cause real damage to your home, to the exterior. So like you said, management is everything.
This is one of the stars of the garden, a mulberry tree. Birds love mulberries, and it provides a good deal of shade.
Is that edible?
They are edible.
So you've got a feast here both for the birds and small mammals, as well as you can come out and forage.
Actually, we do have 2 brown rabbits that live in this habitat. This is an example of managing the vines in your garden. This is a lovely bush here, but we want to keep the wisteria, which is this guy, grows like crazy. It does produce really beautiful blossoms in the spring, gorgeous clusters of pale lavender blossoms, but it does grow tremendously, and we want to keep it in check.
Is this growing up here on the ledge behind you? Is that wisteria?
A lot of this in here is wisteria. Again, in its place, it's beautiful, and it's an effortless cover, but you do have to keep it clipped back carefully.
And there are actually kinds of wisteria. This invasive wisteria, which can be a headache for many gardeners. Once it gets established, it's so hard to dig it out by the roots. This is an Asian variety. There's an American native wisteria that is not invasive like this. It is being cultivated now. People are interested in having it. So check with a reputable nursery in your area to see if you can get the American non-invasive variety.
Again, in its place, it provides cover. Better wisteria than nothing.
And you can shop knowing that there are varieties that are not invasive. You can shop accordingly and work with your local nurseries to find you specimens of vines that can work in your garden. Deborah, do you have a couple of tips that you could share with us? So if people are interested in developing the ecology, the biodiversity of their yards, but in kind of a do-it-yourself, simple way that's not expensive, what would you advise?
Embrace what's there carefully and just appreciate having an impromptu kind of paradise, which is economical. And again, it's good ecology to stay out of the way of the green stuff as much as you can manage to.
And is there any parting advice that you would have for us in terms of the value of developing these asphalt gardens?
Yes. Again, thank you for being here in this impromptu garden. It's a gift. It's a small portion of paradise just waiting to be gently cultivated near you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you sharing your tips and your wisdom. It'll be interesting to see in the future how these logs are these stumps of trees and the leaves, how it breaks down and what develops over time. So maybe we'll be able to come back in a few months and see progress.
Hopefully so.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Asphalt Garden paradise that Deborah shared with us today, and that you got some ideas for a few simple things that you could do in your garden. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. Garden Yay! See you next time.